everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'm here just to take a quick comparison of two decks because quite a few people have asked me to just sort of do a comparison of the Mystical Shaman Oracle and the Shamanic Medicine Oracle. This is one I've had for a while and I really love using. This one I've just received. So usage-wise, I've done some readings with both, but I've certainly done more readings with this one, but there's some people who are, wondering which one they want and that sort of thing, and have asked me to compare them. I think you can see just from these piles that coloration wise they are very similar. They are rich, both decks are rich, beautiful, saturated color. It's really, they're both stunning in terms of color saturation. It is definitely a different style of art between the two. There's no question, there's two different artists here, both beautiful artists but different styles of art. There is a little bit more of the earth meets mysticism. It's called the Mystical Shaman. That makes sense. This feels, it's the style of art is more grounded and maybe more earthy in many ways, and yet it still, of course, has that essence of magic there involved. This just has a little bit more of the mystical, just from the style of art, but they're both beautiful artwork. If you think this is going to make it easy on you, you're probably mistaken, but you asked. Size-wise, you can see that the Shamanic Medicine cards are a little bit wider and a little bit taller. This is a Blue Angel deck, and so it is typical Blue Angel size, but it is borderless, and it has sort of a band with the title, and then the keyword is on the card. This is borderless, numbered, and a title that pretty much defines, what it is. If you're used to any of these types of concepts, none of this will be difficult to read with. Either one, I think, would be difficult to read with keywords or no keywords. So they're both borderless. They both have a title. This is smaller and does have a keyword involved in it. Cardstock is almost identical. This may be just slightly thicker, but I think it's more, the smaller you take a cardstock, the more thicker it feels. So I'm not entirely sure. It's very close. I would say these are really close, possibly a hair thicker, but I couldn't say that for sure. They're very similar. They're both beautiful matte feel to the cardstock. So cardstock wise, in my opinion, they are very, very similar in cardstock, in color saturation, in quality. They're both very beautiful decks. So to me, there's nothing between the quality of the decks that would cause me to choose one over the other. In terms of the guidebook, I think that they are similar. Neither one gives you a ton, but I do think both give you enough. You have 115 pages here, where you have 100 and of actual context. You have 133, but you have 64 cards versus 50 cards, I believe, in this deck. So more cards, more cards in the Mystical Shaman, for I believe 14 more than the Shamanic Medicine cards. So then, of course, the guidebook is going to be larger because of that. But, you get about 3 paragraphs here. You actually, in terms of text, might get a little bit more here. But some of that is like a little poem, and then there's other divinatory. They're revealing how it was used in other places, which you also see in the essence here. So they're similar. I would say this Shamanic Medicine perhaps gives you a bigger chunk of kind of essence information. I'll find a card that's similar and we'll look at both. Let me see here. Well, I know there's the elements, so let me pull. Excuse me. So 38. So they both have the 4 elements in them. So here's fire. And then let me find fire here. 50. And let's see. So here we have, excuse me, fire. Keyword is passion. Cast aside your fear of the flame and bring more warmth to your inner world. Fire spirits are the natural drivers behind attraction, lust, and desire. When you respect the spirits of fire and the flames they create, they protect you, your loved ones, and your possessions. Working with fire energy in an etheric sense is a great healing. As you invite fire into your life, imagine it raging through every part of your body, purging you of all negative influences. As the flames lick away old hurts, those wounds are replaced by a sacred glow. Acquaint yourself with fire by visiting a hot climate, walking barefoot on hot coals. At a supervised fire walk, immerse yourself in the heat of a sweat lodge or gazing at the flames of a candle. Your Kundalini is ready to be awakened. The motivating force of fire will reignite your passion and fuel your inner flame so that you can claim your power and walk in your true light with might, vitality, and vigor. Fire revealed. Prometheus stole fire from the gods on Mount Olympus and gave it to mankind to ensure their survival. Heraclitus believed water and fire made the soul and likened enlightenment with becoming pure fire. Pyromancy, divination by fire, was practiced at the Temple of Athens. Fire deities exist throughout the world and include Kali, Hindu, Astarte, Greek, and Pale-Hawaiian. Celtic fire festivals such as Beltane honor and transform power of fire. Other divinatory meanings: a fear of fire stems from a past life. A cold approach is attracting obstacles. Offer warmth to others to brighten your inner world. A renewed passion invokes the love you have been waiting for. The elements of fire hold the strength you require. And then there's a little poem for each. Call upon the spirit of fire, invoke new courage in all you desire. My force will ravish fear and plight, ignite the flame of passion tonight. So that's what we have in from the shamanic medicine for fire. Now, oops, some here. I do love the elemental cards in the images in the mystical shaman because it doesn't have people in them, and so I do think that the imagery of the elements in the mystical shaman for me personally are better, but what I like about the shamanic medicine cards is that I like where it really clearly goes through all the different cultures that sort of symbol might come from or be attached to. Sometimes it does in this and sometimes not. I went through and researched most of them, not basic ones like fire, but the other ones. So this one writes, fire consumes anything that it touches. The flames remind us of the impermanent nature of reality and how situations can quickly transform into beauty or chaos. Fire is passion, and its dancing flames invite us to reach to the sky. Warmth and light are heavenly, yet too much heat can scorch us. To fully step into the energy of fire is to be utterly transformed, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Warm your hands and your heart by your inner fire. Let it burn away your hardships. Let it consume your pain and your sorrow. Has life become too rigid, too cold, or too superficial? Light a candle or make a bonfire and toss into the flames everything that has become stiff and painful. Give it all to the fire for rapid transformation. Set your life on fire. And then the section of the medicine. Are you feeling too fiery? Have you been reactive and short-tempered towards others? This card has come to tell you that all fiery emotions directed at others can backfire at you. It is not a good idea to play with fire when you are out of balance or angry. Now is not the time to act or react. It is time to tame and befriend your inner fire so it does not scorch you. So you have a little bit of an invitation, aka maybe the light, and a little bit of shadow and how you might use this as a medicine card. And then a little paragraph of the essence of the card. So I do think you get a little bit more, I think, with shamanic medicine cards, but I do think that this gives you a nice place to read from if you need it. Again, I think if you're used to reading with shamanic decks and or concepts, that none of these are going to be all that difficult to work with, or either one of these isn't going to be all that difficult to work with without needing perhaps to go to the guidebook. But I know a lot of people do enjoy the guidebook. So that's an example of the two. Again, they both do some of the things they have in similar. Let's see. I just want to find the, like I said, I really, really love, although there is a face in the earth. So I mean, those are gorgeous elemental cards there. And there are people in two of those faces, and I like the people card because this was I love the water card, but these were the suits that I liked probably the least, just in terms of imagery in this deck. I mean, I really work strongly with elements, so, but they're still beautiful, and I've come to really, enjoy using them in terms of reading. But I do say if I had to pick between the elements, her art is stunning. Both of the art were stunning. They're just different. I have these in separate piles that are the same kind of energy cards. Again, they're both based on shamanic themes, so it's not kind of hard to find the similar themes. So there is this first pile are kind of actual rituals like the Vision Quest, the Ghost Dance, Soul Retrieval, and then Taming the Wind is like smudging. And so at the Shamanic Medicine cards, you have the Vision Quest, Buried in Earth, which is a ritual, and then the Soul Retrieval card is there as well. And these are the two Soul Retrieval cards. So these are rituals. So there's four actual rituals, what I would think of as actual rituals. The Sweat Lodge might also go in there, but there's one of those for both as well. That probably should be in the ritual one. The next place is kind of places. I'm going to put the Sweat Lodge into the rituals because I think that is an actual ritual. So I'll put the lodge over there. They both do have a Sweat Lodge. Again, you can kind of see this is like a literal sweat lodge, whereas this is kind of the essence of going into this inward to go on a journey, or with what you're going to do is a little bit more of a mystical representation of what you're getting out of perhaps the sweat lodge. So you can kind of see that difference there. The same thing here where you have an actual shaman performing a soul retrieval. Here you sort of have it a little bit more symbolic with the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis, which is beautiful. They're both beautiful. They're just, I think it kind of highlights it's the different style of art and the different style of representing similar things. They both of course, because it's shamanic, it would be weird if they didn't. They both represent the upper, middle, and lower worlds. These are so stunning. I prefer, in this case, I mean, I like these. There's nothing really wrong with them. But, some people weren't as happy with the astrology being in a shamanic deck. This does look just like everyday life. And I do like the dragon's head down here, but let me try to, I would say I probably preferred these representations. But again, I love this deck. So I love both of these decks. I personally would want both of these decks. So I'm not really making a choice one of the over the other. I purchased this one, and had I not been given this for review, it was on my list to purchase when it came out. So I would have purchased both of these decks. So there's the upper world. I mean, this middle world is just, it's just stunning. Middle world, and this really gorgeous cave It's a different style. I do like the dragon's head being there, but this is gorgeous. So that's the, you know, of course they're going to have that. We also have like the Sacred Site card, and in this deck we have the Holy Mountain, and I think they're similar in energies to each other, and so you have those going on. So you can see they're drawing from similar places, similar things, because it's a similar topic. Makes sense. The other pile that I have are actual people, and this is not people, but archetypes. And this is where I think you'll see the mystical shaman definitely put some weight in this area, whereas this deck puts a more weight in the tools of the shaman. So that's going to just depend on how you practice, right? So, you know, we think about the ancestors. Yes, we think of them as literally ancestors, but they are also a beautiful archetype. Same thing with the shapeshifter, the shaman, the trickster, and the dream weaver. The trickster is in the animals, in the coyote, so the trickster energy is there as well. The shaman energy is there. I think there's crow energy, which could be with the shapeshifter. And then we have, so these are the people ones. There are people in other cards, but these actual titles denote sort of archetypes of people. Whereas you can see there are quite a few more, a lot. And I do like that because I like archetypes, but you have Pachamama, which is the archetype of the Earth Mother, or the goddess, however you see that. You have the Rainmaker, the Earth Keeper, the Time Master, the Seer, the Sorcerer, the Mystical Shaman, the Witness, the Hunter, the Wild Woman, the Child, the Luminous Warrior, the Gatherer, the Ancient Ones. There's also a Hunter, actually, which I have over on my table. So there's a lot of archetypes in this deck, which is really nice. So that would be, if I'm really looking to tap into archetypes, that would be a way in which I might go to this particular deck. As I said, you'll see the opposite. So there's a few archetype people and a lot in the mystical shaman. In terms of what I would say maybe are tools, they're also symbols. So all of these are symbols. All of these are symbols. I'm just trying to kind of do something to make a comparison, you know, between them. So you have like the drum, the rattle, the blade. These are like kind of tools of the shaman, physical things. There are more in the shamanic medicine cards. The medicine mask, bones, the flute, the medicine bag, the altar, shells, bells, drums, feathers, the shield, and the rattle. So you do have, and there is a shield. I probably should have that. There is a shield in this one. If I see some more, I'll put. And you could even say the staff too. I kind of have that as a symbol, more so. I don't know. So these are all can be symbols, right? So it's kind of difficult, but they all are actual tools that a shaman might use, physical items a shaman might use, and there are more of those here. In terms of animal energy, I do like how they've, and this isn't just animal, this is kind of the world as we speak, and we have like crystals and insects and tree people and stone people and plants and sea creatures and four-legged animals and birds. So it does kind of encompass the aspect of the world and the beings of the physical world quite nicely. It's one of the things I really like about this deck. Whereas this mystical shaman focuses on a few animals, but they are more archetypal animals, such as a coyote trickster. But they are, you know, they're gorgeous. So this kind of picks out some specific animals that represent things, whereas this almost has like a suit of the world, is what I call it in the deck that I'm working on. But it's that idea of just kind of representing all the beings that are on our earth. So that has that. There are a lot of, so I look at like symbols like the 4 elements, lightning, thunder, the moon, the sun, the medicine wheel, although it was kind of symbolic, although that could also actually be in places. The staff, which we have a staff in both. I guess that really should be in tools. But it's also a symbol of power. All of these things are symbols. the sun, the arrow, an Andean cross, the spiral, the tree of life. They both have that tree of life. One is at the seed and one is this full grown. They're beautiful. They're both beautiful in their own right, but I mean, it's just gorgeous. But I do like the concept of the seed being also the entirety. The corn card for abundance. There is an abundance, or that offerings card, I think. No, here. Yeah, there's an offerings card also, but there's other offering cards here as well. That could actually be in physical items. You know, it can all kind of interchange. So yeah, so there's that. I feel like there's more of symbols like the moon and the sun and the lightning and the thunder and these kinds of things. I feel like there's more symbolic. One of the things that you have in this deck that you don't here are the directions. And I do quite like that. The journey, the east, the south, east, west, and, oops, I don't know I have the journey. The south, whatever, the north, south, east, and west. You know what I love the north. So you have the 4 directions, which you don't have here. However, you do have in this one the medicine wheel. And in the directions, or in the guidebook, and I've had this come up a few times, it does have the 4 directions and working with the 4 directions with this card. So the concept is still there and being able to access that is still there, but you do have actual direction cards here, which I do quite like. So we have that. And then you have sort of what I call concept cards, like the journey, the great mystery, birth and death and prayer, and then these are the elements. So you can see there's just really a few of these sort of concepts, what I would call sort of concept cards. And there's quite a lot of them. The idea of the beloved, the concept of standing still, the concept of sacrifice, completion, of beauty, of magic, of the journey, which we saw, the concept of the smoky mirror or the shadowed mirror, the concept of the circle and the idea of the collective unconsciousness. All of these, the concept of a curse, of the giveaway, of flow, of how paths leading to one place, the concept of judgment to some degree, this concept that's built into this rainbow idea. So these are like ideologies, or what I mean, concept to me works really well. There's a lot more of these types of concept cards, I think, in the Mystical Shaman deck. Again, you can find concepts woven through all of the cards, just as you find symbol woven through all of the cards. But this does have more, I think, cards that I would specifically think of as concept cards. So, I think I'm going to kind of leave it there. I think I'll pull some cards from each just so you can see them. They are both beautiful. You know, it's really, I think some of it is simply going to come down to preference of art, which is a very personal thing. Energetically, they feel quite similar. This simply has more cards. This has a little bit, they named it well. The Mystical Shaman fits well with the style of the art here. You have a lot more people here than you have in this one. You have more concepts here. You have much more of the shamanic tools here, I think, and a nice representation of the world, the elements, and the directions here. But they're really, it's not, I'm not really going to say you should buy one over the other because I love both of them. I just wanted to show them so you could kind of see them, and that hopefully would help you make that decision. And it may come down to having the extra cards of 64. It may come down to liking the really earthiness of the shamanic medicine cards. Having the keywords on the cards might be helpful, although I do feel like both of them are fairly, again, if you just kind of work with these types of concepts, it's not too hard to read either one of them, keyword or no keyword wise. Guidebook, this may offer a little bit more in terms of the basic big paragraph, but I do think they do a good job of giving you enough to read this as an oracle. It's not supposed to be, neither one are supposed to teach you how to be a shaman or how to walk a shamanic path. It's a tool for somebody who is tapping into that energy. So, you know, I don't tend to go back to guidebooks very much, so I'm the wrong person to say one thing or another over guidebooks because I don't tend to use them very much. So let me pull them together here, just so you can see them. And size also may, you know, play a factor. But they're both beautiful. The artists, I think, were amazing. The backs, I think both backs are beautiful in their own right. Their size isn't that different that would make me, you know, but if you have really tiny hands, obviously this is going to help, but we're not talking about a huge amount of difference between the sizes here. I mean, they're all kind of mixed up. They're just in concept. I just want to put a couple out just so you could see them laid out. I've done a lot of readings with this. My ancestor reading I've been using, and it works beautifully. I've also done in the same positions that I would have used this. I've used this in a couple ancestor readings already, and it works really beautiful. I mean, they're similar style decks. And I've been really happy with the readings I've done. Mostly, again, in my own ancestor reading, I've used it as sort of a message from, I pull 3 ancestors and then use this deck to pull what is their message. And I've done the same thing with this deck, and it has that same, you know, it's really good. I really liked how it's read, the cards that have come up. And then the other reading that I've done is in this deck, or in this guidebook, they have this kind of cross where they have the south and the west and the north and the east. And I've really enjoyed that one. That's something I've done. I do anyways. Also, I've always done. I think I used to have one on my shop, but I don't. But I kind of worked that into my elemental cross spread. So I've done a number of those for people in the last day or yesterday after I had gotten it, or I got it Friday. Anyway, since I've gotten it, I've done a few of those as well. So I think they both read really beautifully. Yeah. That's about all I have for you. Again, for me, this isn't about saying one is better than the other, because truthfully, I think they're both really beautiful. And I think it's going to come down to artistic preference, size preference perhaps. Again, a few more cards in this one, and that the difference visually or feel wise would be that this does feel very rooted in real world, so to speak, whereas this does have that cross between earth, the mystic earth, the mystical earth, the magical essence of earthiness, but it still feels very earthy. Because some people had asked about that. It didn't feel very earthy. Color-wise, it's so rich and vivid and beautiful that it does, to me, feel very earthy, but it does have an ethereal, or not an ethereal, but it has a mystical quality to it. Whereas this does have a very earthy, based in sort of reality feel to the artwork. And that, of course, it lends itself to the feel of the deck. But there you have it. Good luck. Again, this was just requested by quite a few people, so I thought, rather than trying to explain it, I would just do a quick video comparing them, so that you can decide which one and or both that you need to have or want to put on your list, or can check one off your list. So I hope this helps. Have an absolutely wonderful day.